Welcome, adventurers! You've made it to the Wind Down, the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. It's a chill place to hang out here as the sun sets on another day. We're here to have a little chat, reflect on the day's successes, and prepare for a better tomorrow. So settle in with your favorite beverage this evening.
May I tempt you with a cup of chamomile?
Why, thank you, Dory. I would love a mug of tea this evening, but perhaps you would rather have some coffee, though I do recommend decaf this late in the evening. Or perhaps maybe a cold brew is more your style.
Oh, no thank you, Dory. A little red wine. For me, Isaac.
Sounds like an excellent choice, Gandalf. Whatever you want, it's yours. Could I offer you a bourbon, a martini, an old-fashioned, or something perhaps a little stronger? Ugh. Well, I mean, if that's really your thing, then okay, but I hope we can find something a bit better than that.
Romulan ale? Why, Bones, you know this is illegal.
I only use it for medicinal purposes.
All right, now we're talking. I'm Heath, and I'll be your host. Welcome to my home. Come one, come all, writers, artists, sculptors, storytellers, board gamers, streamers, dungeon masters, fans of sci-fi, fantasy, geeks of all kinds. Whatever your fandom, you have a place here. For soon it will be time for another long rest so that we can recover our hit points, our spells, and our abilities, so we'll be ready to fight on for another day tomorrow. But first, we all need a little time to reflect, because you've survived another long, perilous day of wilderness treks, dungeoneering, and random encounters, and that's worth celebrating. Let's tell the tale. It's time for the Wind Down. It will improve your life. It really will. Give it a chance. Here we go. Hello! There we go. Hello. Hello. I think we had a brief technical malfunction, but that's all right. We're here now. I think we're about to pick up in quality. I think we just had a brief snafu this evening. Hey, Ryan. Ryan's here. Good to see you. Howdy, howdy. Stray's here. Good to see you. Stray's here. Good to see you. How is everyone this evening? I think there's a lot to celebrate. I'm very happy this evening. Things seem to be going well. Having a lot of things happen. Had some good meetings today that made me especially happy. Think things are turning around. Lots of things are happening. I hope that's the same way in your life as well. So let's go ahead and begin by breathing and sipping. We will talk about all that. But first, let's begin by breathing. Deep inhales, complete exhales. Go 2 times. And now we take a sip of our favorite beverage. I have a little bit of brew this evening. Had a great time on a very important meeting today that went especially well. So I'm happy about that. Let's celebrate. And let's remember why we're here. We are here to reflect on the day and to, well, first of all, hopefully celebrate that we had a good one. And one of the ways we can do that is by putting GD in the chat. We've basically got 2 options here. We've got GD. I'm going to put GD in the chat. It was a good day. Good day in the chat. GD. Or, hey, you know what? If it wasn't, then we can go WIT. WIT, will improve tomorrow. Will improve tomorrow. Or you could go both. I like both. Stray's a fan of both. Good day, but hey, we want to get to great days, so good day. Oh, Stray's also saying good day. Good day. Wonderful. So I hope you were happy with your day. I hope that it was a good one. So we're here to celebrate the victories. If something especially good happened to you, then we want to know about it. And we can celebrate with you, even if nobody else in your world cares about it so much. We can talk about that here and celebrate it. We can talk about how to improve too. But also, did you have a random encounter? Did something bizarre happen to you today? Something unusual? Well, we all have random encounters sometime. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about random encounters. So how did my day go? Well, one thing I want to talk about is how to recalibrate a day, because I'm about ready to recalibrate days. Stray says, yep, I'm a fan of both. I know. It's good. That's good. I like that. That is something that exists now. Let's see here. So I'll talk about how my day went and also how I need to recalibrate my day. How do I need to recalibrate days? Let's see. Let's go through our checkboxes. I haven't weighed in a while. I need to be sure to weigh in the morning. I think you're tracking my weight every day, a little bit much, but I got the system going, so I'm trusting in the system. Need to weigh in tomorrow, so I'm not sure how weight's going. We've got right here CTA. CTA means you heeded the call to adventure in the morning. CTA. I got up and I was attacking the day early. Not quite as early as I wanted to, but still, I was up and attacking the day, so I'm going to count it. That was CTA. Were you MBR? I'm having trouble with this one too. Trying to get to MBR, but MBR is, did you move big rocks? Did you move big rocks? Well, I didn't move all three of mine. I moved two. I got my inbox down to 0. So I responded to everybody as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And I had a very important creative meeting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And it took some time, so I had that. And I started drafting the emails to go out to the other contacts I needed to, but I didn't finish number 3. So I wasn't MBR. Got to work on that. Got to work on that. I'm having a beer this evening, so I was not AF, but I did complete my watch rings. Let's see here. Didn't really feel like walking much today, but I went on an exploration journey when I went to take some more packages to the post office today that were going out. And so I decided to walk around the post office and visited some other shops and things like that. So I got that done. So didn't break the chain there. Stray says, the call was late. I wasn't. Move rocks and put together my space heater. Congratulations. Congratulations. Sounds great. Moving rocks and a space heater. You know, I've got to work with the kerosene heater that I got. I got to make sure that's ready in case the power goes out. Haven't got to do that yet. One thing that I was noticing, because I'm also tracking time by category each day, is that, you know, I'm violating some of my rules here, in that I have not been able to appropriately judge what the large rocks are at the beginning of the day to make sure that I'm hitting them. Because I don't want to be here at the end of the day going, didn't hit them. I want to make sure that I'm managed appropriately so I do hit them. Haven't been too stressed out about that here in the beginning, because I got to figure out what's going on so I can recalibrate to make sure of that. Oh, Keith. Keith is also good day. Excellent, Keith. Good day, and moved a few rocks at work. Congratulations. Here's to you right here. Excellent. Let's celebrate. But it's just about time on my side to recalibrate things. So when I'm doing my time categories here, my time, each one of these boxes is supposed to represent 25 minutes of time. And I have been infrequently hitting all of my time targets. I did in the very beginning because there was some energy there in the very beginning. But it's not about what you can hit in the short term. It's about what you can hit day to day in a repeated way. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to count the number of blocks that I'm able to account for in my day over the past several days. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. That seems like a pretty good average to me. So I'm going to bring up a calculator right here. So I'm going to say, so this day I hit 21 plus 18 that day, plus 17 blocks that day, plus 21 blocks, plus 28 blocks. That Sunday, I was just crushing it. Man, Sunday, I was on fire. I accounted for 28 blocks, 28 25-minute chunks of my time. That's freaking incredible. 17 plus 16 plus 13 plus 22. All right. And then divide that by 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, because I'm also accounting for this time here on YouTube. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 divided by 9 days. Yeah, I needed to. Why is that not giving that to me? 19? Snafu on the computer side of things. Oh. Okay, so 28. This is, I got errors here. 28, 17. This should have been 17. I got an ampersand in there. Okay, now I understand. Oh, yes, 19. Thank you, Stray. Yes, 19.2. That means on average, I'm able to account for 19.2 blocks of 25-minute time. So let's see. I'm going to write that down here. 19.2 blocks. So that means that maybe in the beginning, so 19 might be stretching it. What if I accounted for 18? Because 18, 18. See, that seems low. 18 divided by 2 is only 9 hours worth of time. And it seems like I should be able to account for more than that. It seems like I should be able to account for more than. Now, of course, there's some things I don't track, like, getting a shower, getting prepared in the morning, getting dressed. So this is productive time. Still seems like I should be able to account for more than 9 hours of productive time a day, though. But all right, that's what we've got, though. 18 blocks. So 19 blocks is better. But if I could consistently account for 18, that would be really good. So that means that tomorrow, what I want to do, because I want to be able to consistently hit a certain target, and then I can increase from there. Seems like I should be able to do more than that, but I will increase from that later. But okay, let's say 18 blocks. So that means that I'm able to account for 18 blocks of time, including cleaning, getting this house back together, and then also 2 blocks of deliberate active recreation. So that's 4 blocks right there that are taken up in cleaning and recreation, leaving me the rest of the time to distribute between being here on YouTube, working on Raven Keep, the business administration, and doing core creative time. So 18 blocks. How many blocks do I normally put out? Like over here, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I have 24 blocks laid out, not including that. So if I do that right there, that's 24 blocks. So that's not realistic right now. So I need to figure out, where do I put 18 blocks and then make sure those 18 blocks happen. That's what I'm going to worry about tomorrow. So that's my time analysis right there. If you're with us for the morning grind, we're just talking about hitting our big rocks, and we have to appropriately judge our big rocks so that they're not huge rocks that we can't get done, which is what sometimes happens to me, or they're not too small so we're able to knock them out. So that's what we've been focusing on, but I'm also working on time scheduling. I need to do a video on that. We'll do that later. But that gives me a target. That gives me a pretty good target. So let's say 18 blocks. I want to be able to put my blue check mark done if I hit 18 blocks of accounted for time every day. We need more smoke. Stray says, yeah, get a consistent number of blocks and then add from there. Yeah. That's what needs to be done. We'll see if I start hitting the targets after that. So I'll have to actually think tomorrow about where do I want to put those 18 blocks. So that was one of the things I was thinking about today. Let me see what's on our list of things to talk about. So average number of boxes accomplished in a day. We have talked about that. Okay, well, I should say that part of what I did today was that I had this meeting about stories. Brianna and I have been talking about, I tell you, we've been meeting once a week to talk about story structure and to analyze each other's stories and try to x-ray them and try to make sure that they are better. And she has just been crushing it. She's crushing it. She finished a draft of a screenplay she's been trying to work on. Now she's put it aside. She finished the whole draft. Now going to work on some other projects and then just go back to that to look at it again with fresh eyes. But we went through that screenplay in many, many different ways. And then she got it written, so she's on the first draft of that. And then she and I had been attacking another story to put into screenplay format. And I don't think she started writing that one yet, but man, she's just been crushing it. I had not been crushing it as much on that front. I haven't quite had as much time to work on that. But I think I've showed you before. I want there to be action figures and plush toys and stuff in Rabavania, but I want there to be stories as well. Now, how do I get these stories out? How do I write them? One of the problems that I've had is I will write Rabavania stories. I wrote a lot of Rabavania stories and then was told, do not release them. They still need more work. They're not ready to go. So, okay, all right, but that sets me back. But nonetheless, I've been working on Rabavania stories in index card form so that you know what kind of, where's the story going? Because I've written a bunch of stuff that actually can't go anywhere or hasn't been published yet for many different reasons. I'm a bit tired of that. I am a bit tired of that. I want things that I write to be able to get out there in the world and get things done. So I got to make sure that I have what I'm writing is correct. So I've been through another story. So I wrote the one that I knew it was pretty extensive. Then I was told, no, wait, don't go anywhere with that. All right. So that was a setback. And so then I came up with another story and I said, I'm going to write this in index card. So here is another story set in the same world, set in Rabavania, but was also told, nope, that one's not going where we need it to go. That one's not it. It's not going where we need it to go. So I said, okay. And so I've been working with my time with Brianna to come up with next Rabavania story, sitting here in index card format. So the meeting today was on this story then. So I was like, all right, what do we need here? Because I want it to be what I want it to be as far as Rabavania goes, of course. I want that, but I also want to be sure that it is, viable as far as something in the market, things like that. So that's also a very important consideration. So that's why I want to know, all right, before I start writing it, I want to be sure that it's at least conforms to something that is actually marketable. So that's why I've been working on this story. And today, when I had the meeting, we were discussing this story right here. This story is not finished yet. Far from it. But for the first time today, in all these meetings, I felt like, all right, I got something. I had a feeling this story right here was going to be the one that should start Rabavania. Lots of people, when I told them the general idea, I won't talk about that right here. They were like, oh, that sounds good. That's interesting. People were interested. So I was like, all right, that sounds great. So I'm trying to make this story right here work. And so it was a great day because, like I said, for the first time, I wasn't saying, okay, time to start completely over. That, okay, what you're doing is not working at all. It's, scratch that, start over. So this time we made even additional progress on this story and where it needs to go. And I was having lots of extra ideas about it after the meeting was done. So I'm feeling good. So that's why I'm celebrating. That's why I went and I decided, I'll have a beer tonight. Because I like the feeling of like, all right, yep, this is actually moving forward. Lots and lots of work to do. But when you finally hit on something that's like, okay, this one's going to work. It's got characters from the action figure series in it. Now, speaking of which, I'm supposed to get prototypes of those in. And I was supposed to get them, I thought today, and said delivering them by end of day. And it's kind of late here now, my time. So don't know what's going on. Stray says, I used to write all night and the next day delete 60% of it because I didn't like the direction. Now I don't get rid of it and have saved it to the side for later or other uses. Yeah. I used to do the same thing when I was writing academic stuff. I'd be writing an academic article, and I realized this is not going the right direction. But what I would do is I would just take all that stuff that wasn't moving in the right direction and put it in a different file folder, because that could become the core of another article, right? Oh, it's not a bad thing to talk about or whatever. It just wasn't for this. So put all that material in a different folder and then use that to get started with another one. Now it's stories I do that with. So that's been going on. That's why I'm celebrating and feeling good. In fact, will you give me just a second? I'm going to go and run to the front door, and I'm going to see if there is a box of action figures, because I'm a little bit concerned with that, because it's supposed to be here today. Well, I'll just go and check right now, and we will find out. Just 1 second, and I'll see if there are action figures on the porch. No action figures on the porch. That would have been cool if they had actually been here. Oh, I gotta shut this door. That would have been cool, but I would have opened them up on the morning grind anyway. But no action figures on the porch. But I'm expecting them. They should have been here. We will see. We will see. I got the tracking number. We will see. All right. What else should we talk about? Let me go to my notes. Do you have questions? Do you have comments? You got a great topic for discussion tonight? It's generally best when these things are interactive, but let me see what's on my list of topics that I might want to talk about tonight. Oh, okay. I had a topic. I talked about this one. Yeah, we've got time. I have a problem with Jedi costumes. Like, what's going on with Jedi costumes versus stormtroopers and Mandalorians? I had this idea about world building when I was taking a look at the way stormtroopers, Jedi, and Mandalorians are costumed. And I have an issue with the way the Jedi end up being costumed, starting with the prequel trilogy. I'm not sure why this is, because they all end up wearing what Obi-Wan was wearing when he was on Tatooine, right? And that's like the Jedi robes. Did anybody think or not think that Obi-Wan's robes were Jedi robes, or what Obi-Wan was wearing on Tatooine was something to do with the Jedi Order? I don't ever remember that. And there was nothing in there that I think ever clued me in. Like, if you're just watching the original trilogy or something, that what Obi-Wan, or just even the original movie, that what Obi-Wan is sitting there wearing is something of the Jedi Order. Did anyone else think that? Now, for some reason, in fact, because like the styling of it, is very even similar to what Owen Lars is wearing, like for a shirt and stuff like that, and the wrap and stuff. So my thinking on that, I was quite surprised. Right. Keith is saying that I always thought he was wearing clothes for the desert. Right. Yeah, that's what I thought. And that's why, that's bolstered by the fact that the sort of the tailoring and the styling is also not completely dissimilar to what Owen is wearing. I never would have thought that that was actually an iconic Jedi robe. And especially if Obi-Wan Kenobi is in hiding, why is he wearing, why would he be wearing some type of iconic and symbolic robe of his order? And so, yeah, I completely agree, Keith. I thought it was weird, actually, when episode 1 hit and the Jedi are wearing that as like a uniformed robe. Yeah, it was never said that their habit was a traditional or traditionally outfit. Yeah, as far as I know, in the original trilogy, we never established anything like that. And in fact, I don't think that I had any conceptualization of the Jedi having any particular type of like uniform at all. Right. Keith says Luke continues to dress the same as he progresses through the original trilogy, not wearing robes at all. Robes all the time except in Jabba's palace. And it's, he's wearing black then. He's not wearing what Obi-Wan wore. He's wearing something else, right? But you're right. He dresses in garb that is suitable to the situation, like when he's trying to do his commando raid on Endor or anything like that. He wears black, but he has a cloak on, right? Yeah, but he's not wearing what Obi-Wan wore, which is my point. Which is like, yeah, there's no garb of a Jedi. I had actually perceived at the time that being a Jedi would be like being on call, that you're just doing whatever traditional. Yeah, never said the habit was their traditional outfit, right? I had thought that after watching the original trilogy that being a Jedi was like being on call. You had your other job, had whatever else it was that you were doing, but that, like, of course, there was the beeper at the time, but you might have something like your Jedi beeper that would all of a sudden go off and then be like, oh, the Jedi Order is calling. I got to go run down something or take care of something or fight something, whatever it is. The monastic nature of the Jedi was something that completely surprised me. We'll get back to some costuming here in a second. But yeah, so I never envisioned them having a traditional robed outfit, especially being what Obi-Wan Kenobi wore. I never perceived them as being monastic because such a big deal is made out of, the Force runs strong in my family. I never perceived that the Force would have been something monastic, or excuse me, that the Jedi Order would have been something monastic, and that you weren't allowed to have families, because we seem to normalize in the original trilogy the idea that the Force runs strong in families. So that would mean that there would need to be families of Jedi and Force users. And then we find out that, oh no, there's not. And so that was weird to me as well. So, there has been a trend, it seems like, that I have perceived in people elevating the original trilogy to a much greater degree now. If you were somebody who did not like Disney Star Wars, if you were somebody who did not like the sequel trilogy, which is not everyone, of course, but it seems to me like there's an element of people who didn't like the sequel trilogy and who might not have liked the prequel trilogy in its day, but that ever since the sequel trilogy have gone back and said, you know what, in retrospect, the prequel trilogy was really good. I happen to not be one of those people. I'm a big fan of the original trilogy. But even in retrospect, I'm not really a big fan of the original trilogy. I tried to go back and watch it. I remember I only ever watched, what was the third one, in the Revenge of the Sith. I only ever watched that one once for a long time, and that was in the theater. I did go to the theater to see it. And I remember sitting there in the theater going, okay, I think this might be a bad movie. But on the other hand, I don't want to be too critical about it. So I'm going to just completely start fresh and watch. And then I was like, nope, you know what? Wipe my mind and watch more. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that was a bad movie. I only ever saw that one once. And then a few months, maybe a year ago, I was like, you know what? When I was painting my stormtroopers and stuff, I was like, you know what? people are talking about that in retrospect, the original trilogy was really good. Maybe I should try it again. Maybe I should try it out. And I watched those again. So for the first time in decades, I watched them all. And I was again like, you know what? Not great. I still say not great. But what started this was the idea of costuming, and I was thinking about what we enjoy as far as cosplay goes. And I'm not a huge cosplayer. I'm thinking about doing a few. There are a couple of them that I want to do, and I've kind of been inspired by watching some YouTube videos where people have been able to do some really cool cosplay that, one, doesn't take forever to create, and two, doesn't take like $12,000 to create, and yet nonetheless comes up with fantastic results. And, I'm a fan of getting things done. There are a lot of things I would like to do, but I would like to be able to do them in not a year and a half worth of time, right? So there are a couple of cosplays that interest me, and as I've been thinking about how do you get things done, I've been like, you know what? There are a couple of things that I wouldn't mind having a costume of, as long as I could just do it rather quickly, have a good result, and not spend tens of thousands of dollars trying to make it. So that's why I'm thinking about this. Okay, to follow up on that in a minute. Gold Star is here. Gold Star Gamer, he says the OT original trilogy is great. Episode 3 is good. You thought episode 3 was good, okay? And 1 and 2 are kind of saved by their endings. Maul versus Kenobi and Qui-Gon Battle of Geonosis. The sequel trilogy I didn't like because it had so much potential story. Well, all opinions are valid. All opinions are valid. It surprises me. Well, I don't know. But like I said, I didn't actually think that episode 3 was all that great. I think I would have reversed it, even though I personally think that the Phantom Menace actually didn't need to be told. I did a story analysis on that. I don't think that one needed to be told. So that's its own negative. We could have done something else with that time, I think. But I would have said, well, I'll take that one still. I thought episode 3 was weird. Brianna and I did a complex analysis of the theory of the fall and the story arc of the fall, because both she and I are very interested in telling stories like that, and that should have, I think, if you're going to follow Anakin Skywalker, assuming that you're going to assume that Anakin Skywalker was your primary character in the original trilogy, in the prequel trilogy, it should have been the story of the fall, but I think it was not done all that well. So she and I both analyzed that and X-rated it. That it still could have been done better. And you could have done something really great. But yes, I mean, I do agree that like the Maul versus Kenobi and Qui-Gon scene is a great scene. Now, whether or not that makes it a whole great movie or saves the movie is just up to other people's opinions. But yeah, I mean, I agree that that's a fantastic scene. The Battle of Geonosis as well. I mean, I agree with that. But just redid episodes 4 and 6. Yeah, they had so much potential story, but they just redid episodes 4 and 6. There was a lot of that. Keith says, I'm in the minority with most. Return of the Jedi is my favorite. Return of the Jedi was also my favorite for a long time. And now I have switched. I think back to the original. There's a strong argument. A lot of people go Empire, and I understand why. There's a lot that I think Empire has going for it. But every time we're doing like story analysis or, talking about well-constructed stories and so forth, so much comes back to the original Star Wars that I think it probably has to edge out. But I was a Return of the Jedi fan completely with you for a long time. And I still am a huge Return of the Jedi fan because it does what it's supposed to do. I may have talked about this before on here because I did some analysis and I put this up on YouTube that I love what Return of the Jedi does as far as its story structure goes. It delivers its story structure. It delivers its story structure in, I think, a really great way. Even though maybe at times things that are happening in the plot don't make a whole lot of sense. But it does what it's supposed to do as far as the story goes, I think. And that's why I say I'm an original trilogy fan, because I think all three of them are great. So what did this have to do with costuming, right, and cosplay? It's because, okay, I had never perceived Jedi as having a structured costume that all of a sudden they came up with. And thinking about this in terms of the fun of cosplaying, like, what's the fun if you want to get one, if you want to do a Jedi or something like that? Or what's the fun in cosplaying in general? Kind of creating your own thing, can be, right? While still being recognizable as something. So, for instance, if you want to talk about uniformed, I talk about the stormtroopers. Because why would you want to cosplay a stormtrooper? Why would you want cosplay, stormtrooper armor? I would kind of like stormtrooper armor. I admit, I'm kind of partial. That's one of the ones that I would kind of like to do. Like, why would I want stormtrooper armor? Because it would be cool to show up at a convention and be part of a large group of all identically armored stormtroopers, right? Because part of the coolness of that is that you're all uniformed, right? That all the stormtroopers are going to look exactly alike, and you're going to be able to present this mass of uniformed stormtroopers. I think it'd be pretty cool. So that's why you would want to do the stormtroopers, because the stormtroopers are holding it down on the uniformed front. So if the stormtroopers are holding it down on the uniformed front, then what would you want the Jedi to be? You'd want the Jedi to be the creative front, right? You should be able to be a Jedi in multiple ways, because that would contrast the good guys and the bad guys, right? It contrasts the uniformed stormtroopers with, there needs to be something that is still identifiable as a Jedi, like something that they wear. I'm thinking about like Worf's sash, that identified him as a Klingon warrior, even though he was in Starfleet. There's the other race that has the earrings and things like that. So I think there should have been something like that identified you as a Jedi, as part of your costume goes, but that you would have a large degree of creativity involved in what the rest of your Jedi outfit looks like, right? So, everybody would know, oh, it's a Jedi, because, okay, it's got the lightsaber, it's got some type of identifiable sash, or, the earring or the nose ring. That's probably not a good idea, but you know what I'm talking about here. To go, oh, you're doing a Jedi, and you've got this particular take on being a Jedi. And that would have contrasted stormtroopers and Jedi really well. But instead, we got uniformed Jedi, which doesn't allow you to have your creativity, because you're like, oh, if you're going to do a Jedi, you got to do the Jedi robes. And it's less cool to be one Jedi among 1,000 Jedi, at a convention. It's cool for there to be 1,000 stormtroopers there. It's less cool for there to be 1,000 Jedi, I think. So to me, that's when you're thinking about costuming, or you're setting something up as far as what the look of your heroic versus your villainous orders go. I would think about that. One of them is okay to be completely uniformed, and that's the stormtroopers. The Jedi we should have been able to express more creativity and be a Jedi. I have seen a couple of people work on creative Jedi stuff. A friend of mine did do, who I know through Twitter, and I met her at Gen Con in person, when she was cosplaying a Jedi librarian. So actually, that was an example of, okay, you're definitely identifiably a Jedi, but you have a specific sort of tailor to your robes, because she, as the Jedi librarian, apparently the Jedi librarian, whatever Jedi it was, whatever the name was, that was actually over the Jedi archives when Obi-Wan shows up. She has some distinctive styling on her robes that make her distinctive, which more of the Jedi should have had. And so she replicated that as a Jedi librarian, one of the ones who operate the archives. And I thought that was cool. That allowed her to cosplay a Jedi, but have some kind of distinctiveness. And I thought that was cool. Keith says, a guy I went to high school with built a set of armor. I think he's in the 501st. Yeah, and it's only getting easier. I mean, I see places where people have already vacuum formed sets of Stormtrooper armor. And so rather than trying to build a set from scratch, these things only get easier and easier and easier to do. You can go to Etsy and find Stormtrooper armor and Stormtrooper helmets and things like that. So, you know, rather, because I don't really have the time or inclination to completely build one from scratch, but there are basically kits that can be, you know, bought and then put together. And now that I think would be cool to do. Then I would have some Stormtrooper armor. Stray says, there's a whole community of Stormtroopers at conventions. Yep, it's funny when they start hunting the anime cosplayers. They teamed up with Raccoon Umbrella soldiers one year. I don't know Raccoon Umbrella. But to continue the idea of the fun in the costuming, so we do have that element in Star Wars costuming and cosplay, and that is the Mandalorians. See, the Mandalorians inadvertently have what I think the Jedi should have, because there's the group that do the Mandalorian armor, and the Mandalorians are really cool, and I think that's popular, probably for several reasons, but as far as the costuming goes, I think doing your own Mandalorian armor is probably very popular because, one, there are some guidelines that they have regarding what it means to have Mandalorian armor, and that creates a very defined look so that anytime anybody looks at somebody who's wearing that, everybody goes, that's a Mandalorian, that's a Mandalorian, that's a Mandalorian. But those guidelines are rather general. They do, like I was reading them once, they had to do with like the width of the helmet to the shoulders, and of course you've got to have the Barb Root style look to the helmet, and you know, the what actually is it? They very clearly defined what is it that makes an iconic and instantly identifiable Mandalorian outfit, and then they allow anything else you want to do basically within those, you know, outside or within, whatever way you want to perceive it, those guidelines. And so that's why I think that one's the most fun. It's the Stormtroopers are fun because they're all uniformed. That's why they're fun. The Mandalorians are fun because they are instantly identifiable and have a lot of flexibility, so you can bring a lot of creativity to them. So to me, those are the two perfect sides of this. The Jedi are trying to be uniformed Jedi again, for the most part. And why would you want to be a uniformed Jedi? I mean, you know, some people, you know, do, but I'm talking about in general, it seems like I see either the uniformed Imperials or I see the more creative Mandalorians. And so I think about that a lot when I'm thinking about how do you, how should you uniform something for a story or for a film or something like that? Having something that looks iconic and is identifiable, but yet would still allow people a lot of creativity, that sounds like the winner. That sounds like the winner. That one's fun. If you're not going all the way to the other extreme, which is all uniform. Oh, okay. We know the librarian here. Yeah, Jocasta knew the librarian had a very Asian-inspired outfit with a kimono and some hair accessories that I found quite well designed. Yeah, and that's, in my opinion, it would have helped out if a lot more Jedi had more distinctive possible styling like that, because that would give us a lot cooler opportunities for Jedi cosplay. Like, I don't personally have a lot of interest in doing Jedi cosplay. Like, of the few costumes I'd want to do, Jedi isn't one. Stormtrooper would be one because it's deliberately uniformed and you know what you're supposed to look like. And then Mandalorian would be another one. I'm not sure I would do that, but I would do either of those before I would do Jedi. I was wondering if I could find a picture of my friend. Yeah, that's who that was. Jocasta New, dressed up as that. She's also, I mean, she's into sewing and all of that, and so she also did that really well. I'm not gonna be able to find that, I don't think. Maybe for later. Oh, actually, I found her Instagram page. Let me just scroll through it for a moment and see if I can find this. Would have been a long time ago. Oh, that's not a good picture, though. Give me 20 more seconds. Let me see if I can find a good one. I don't think she had all of her stuff on. Well, I'll take this one then. Even though I think that like the hair accessories and stuff. Let's see. Share screen. So this was at some convention right here. Well, never mind. I guess I just deleted it. You saw it there for a second, but yeah, you know, I think that's an important part of the costuming in the Jedi. All right. Well, I didn't hit all of my big rocks, and I need to work on some of the writing those 2 messages about the morning grind. I started those, but I'm not finished with them. So maybe I will work on that for a little bit. Tomorrow we will go into other topics. I've got other things to talk about. And I'll see if I can come up with a better picture of my friend in the librarian outfit. I will. She did a great job. All right. Well, I hope that your day went well. Mine did. I think it was a good day. I feel like things are turning around. If I believed in energy, I would say I feel like some energy turning around. Do other people feel that way? Because I have just been out of it. Maybe other people do as well. Maybe we're all headed up. I would love that. I would love that if we all got some energy going on. All right. Well, I am going to put up Goodnight Sword, which is the way we like
Good
to
Night
wind
Sword.
down.
Read by
Brianna De
Robinson.
Silva. Illustrated by Adam Botsford.
by Adam M.
I will see you in the morning. I hope some
Narrated
Ratvania
by Brianna De
awfully
Silva.
late. I hope I get some action figures to show up. If so,
Heart
we'll
of the
unbox them
Tales
tomorrow.
of
Otherwise,
Ravania.
we'll look at something else. Later.
Good Night Sword. Good Night Gourd. Good night, guards who keep us all safe. Good night, dagger. And the iron hobber. Good night, cheese. Good night, keys. Good night, elm. And good night, helm. Good night, squire. And good night, liar. Good night, shield. And good night to the lance only the gallant wield. Good night, banner. And good night, jewel. Good night, gruel. Good night, knights. And good night to the old soldier who says time's been cruel. Good night, maiden fair, whose favor I bear. Good night, rabbits everywhere.